really spot on. Aerosmith looks good. He looks exceptionally very, very relaxed horse. He's very, very relaxed horse. Our Unicorn looks very well too. Greg Hall to ride. Istedad, he's broken out in the sweat, but it's pretty hot out here today, and I do think he'll run well. Thackeray's very relaxed. Greg Hall just said he's very relaxed, but I think he's the one sweating, not the horse. But Aerosmith looks good. Dansk looks good. Spying looks good. Gee, it's very hard to pick him, and Lance O'Sullivan riding in Australia today, and as you know, he's been here for a week or so, and I don't think he'd be here if Dansk wasn't some chance in the race. But looking at him from here, I'd say that the most relaxed one of the lot is Aerosmith. He looks good, and Istedad, he was my tip for the race, but he's just broken out a little bit, and I don't know, it's pretty hot today, but I don't think it'll worry him. He's relaxed, but he's sweating a little bit.
OK, Letzy. Well, that's unusual to have Greg Hall talking out behind the barriers.
Oh, yeah, very unusual, isn't it?
How would you like to be trying to get a word in between John Letts and Greg Hall?
Well, there was someone in here, but we didn't give him a chance.
All right, Letzy, watch them being loaded into the stalls for this $1.25 million race. We look down from the Whitman's Lightship and we look at the Super Tab figures with Bazile Bay, $4.50 just before the start. You couldn't fault him on looks. Jimmy Cassidy has already tasted victory in a $1 million race here at Flemington this afternoon aboard the rising superstar Dignity Dancer. Will he make it a golden double aboard this horse Bazile Bay? There's Istedad coming out. The horse that John Letts mentioned has broken out into just a little bit of a sweat. Our Unicorn. Can it be consolation for Colin Alderson after a frustrating spring? We're about to find out. For the Australian Cup, here's Brian Martin.
Yeah, sure.
1999, Summerbow Fractious. Stand, they're off and running. Summerbow bounced quickly on the inside. Our Unicorn has begun okay today, and dropping back is Aerosmith with Sir Linford, and Bazile Bay has pounced straight on the front. Bazile Bay landed in front now, settling down from the message, going forward with Dansk up in the middle. A length further back was Into Gaze, fourth from Spying. Istedad caught a little deep. Around the outside of Thackeray, one to Summerbow. Then Our Unicorn, Aerosmith, and last of all is Sir Linford as they go to the 1600 metre mark, and Bazile Bay is putting on the speed out in front, and he broke them up and moved out about 4 lengths in advance of Dansk. The message on the outside, third, a length and a half further back. Into Gaze running fourth. Then Istedad fifth on the outside, a length and a half to Spying. They're followed by Thackeray, a length further back in the race. Sir Linford around Summerbow. Then Aerosmith, and last of all is Our Unicorn. Well, Bazile Bay at Chiquita Lodge at the 1200 metre mark. Cassidy's got his foot on the accelerator. He's out about 8 lengths in front now from Dansk second. A length further back on the outside. The message third. 2 lengths further back is Into Gaze, and on the outside of it Istedad. 2 or 3 further back than the race Spying, followed by Thackeray. 1.5 Summerbow. Further back in the race then is Aerosmith getting off the fence. Sir Linford out 3 deep, and 2 to Our Unicorn last of all. 800 metres to go, given a breather. Bazile Bay by 4.5 to 5 lengths. Second the message, a length further back, then came on the inside Dansk. They're followed by Istedad up fourth. Into Gaze running fifth. Then Spying, Thackeray, Sir Linford, further back Summerbow. Aerosmith a mile back, turning for home, and last of all is Our Unicorn. Bazile Bay is first for home in the Cup. For the pumper, he's out 3 lengths in front of Istedad and the message. They're under a bit of pressure. Down the middle is Spying, followed by Thackeray, Summerbow, and Into Gaze back to the inside. Bazile Bay is flat of the 300. Into Gaze is off the fence, and Istedad wider out, and Thackeray is coming home well from Spying. Istedad, Into Gaze get to the lead from Thackeray at the 150. Into Gaze on the inside, and Istedad from Thackeray. Istedad and Into Gaze, stride for stride. Istedad got his head in front, coming again. Into Gaze, they hit it. Oh, Dead Heat couldn't separate them. Istedad and Into Gaze. Dead Heat for mine. Third home is Thackeray. Then a gap in the race, Spying from Summerbow. Our Unicorn. Aerosmith, then the message. Bazile Bay knocked right up, followed by Dansk. Well back in the race then was Sir Linford back in the tail.
Well, it's a photo here in the Australian Cup, but you will find that Peter Hayes has done what his father and his brother did before him. Istedad, I think you'll find, will get this photo. Here it is from up above. What a great battle. Into Gaze probably about a head to a neck in front there. Istedad closes on the outside, and there's the result of the photo. Number 4, Istedad has got it narrowly from Into Gaze. And the horse who looked the winner at the 200, Thackeray, which loomed up quickly on the outside, has run into third placing. So Istedad, as Alf Matthews pointed out before the race, he is an older horse. He's 7 years old, but he's only had the 34 starts. And he was the fresh horse on the scene. Alfie, I think Bazile Bay did as we expected. He just found the trip too far.
Peter, you're either a genius if you want to take him on and tackle him and say, hey, he won't get the journey, or you're a mug if he does. I just believe he's a high-speed horse that will struggle always at the 2,000 metres. But you can't take anything away from any of those horses. Intergaze got held up a little bit at about the 250 metre mark.
Gee, I thought Thackeray was going to win here.
He actually loomed up, and I think he's genuinely just died on his run.
Yeah. And there's Bazille Bay dropping out now, last in the picture, Spine getting into 4th spot. But look at this wonderful struggle between these two great riders, Craig Carmody and Greg Childs. Childs on the outside in the famous dark blue colours, just getting that horse's nose in front, right on the line. And he finds the line first by about a half head. Tops. It was a great finish to the Australian Cup. I'm sure Peter Hayes would agree. Here is the winning trainer with Mark Aston.
Yes, thank you very much, Peter. And Pete's just been having another look at that finish.
Just making sure we won, mate.
I think you did. I think you did. It was quite clear in the end. You've done a wonderful job with this horse as far as training is concerned.
Thank you. Yeah, he's been quite a challenge, and you know, but he showed in the All Stakes that he was somewhere near back to his best, and then his next run was sparkling, and you know, he just hasn't put a foot wrong. He's been wonderful. He's been a delight to train.
Fella on board didn't put a foot wrong today either.
Nah, superb ride. Superb ride.
Now, what will you do with him now?
We'll go up and run in the BMW, Mercedes-Benz. What's it called? Mercedes-Benz, yes. We'll go up and run the Mercedes-Benz, and then he'll have his last run probably in his career in the Queen Elizabeth.
Good on you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Back to you, Pete.
Peter Hayes, the winning trainer, so only 2 more runs in the career for that horse, Estadad. But Johnny Letts, it's been an important one today. And
Greg.
here is Lettsy with Greg Childs.
Yes, Greg, we were talking before the race, and I said to you, I thought I might be interviewing you after the Australian Cup, didn't I?
Yeah, you did say that. He looks a treat today, and he's been racing right on top of his game at present.
Greg, you won on him last time out and you beat Intergaze. Intergaze, the connection would be hoping this horse had never been born, wouldn't he?
Yeah, that's right.
But he dug deep, didn't he, today when you asked him?
Yes, he did. He found plenty. Intergaze went to come out and push me out off my track, but he held his ground. Intergaze got back up on the inside and headed us, actually. But all credit to this horse, he dug deep.
He dug deep. Greg, Peter Hayes said he's only going to have 2 more runs and then he's going to be retired. Would you like to see him go into a race like the Melbourne Cup?
Well, I'd like to see him maybe head towards Sydney first and take on a couple of those weight for age runners.
Yeah, congratulations, Greg. 1.25 million again.
Thanks.
Good on you, mate.
Johnny Letts there with the winning jockey, Greg Childs, who doffs the cap to the big crowd here at Flemington now. Always great to see 2 great horses and 2 great riders locked in battle over the last 200 metres. It just gets the blood pumping, doesn't it?
It certainly does. And the thing that I really like about genuine horses running to the line like that, heads down and really extended, and, you know, putting heart and soul into it.
Alfie, I don't think I was being unfair when I said before the race that he did have a reputation as a little bit of a gunner at one stage in his career, but he certainly dispelled all that with the win at Caulfield, and he's run right up to that today.
Oh, no. Peter, this horse raced in the best company some 18 months ago. He then came back after a spell, took on the best company again, but unfortunately nothing was right with him. He had feet problems, he had wind problems, and they've got everything right, and of course there we go.
And here he comes, back to scale now after the Amy Australian Cup. The 137th winner of the race, Estadad and Greg Childs. Lovely patient ride. It was a race where the speed was always going to be on, and Bazille Bay, Jimmy Cassidy may have his critics after the race, but I don't think they've got anything to criticise about the ride. As you said, the horse is a natural speed horse. Not much point in trying to choke him.
Well, that's exactly right, Peter. A good terminology that's been used in racing for years. There's no good both of you pulling.
Exactly right. And Greg Childs was able to bide his time on Estadad, and here he comes now back to scale of the $1.25 million, $812,500 go to the connections of that great horse Estadad. And I think the connections of Intergaze in the stall alongside will be thinking so near and yet so far, because it's just been a matter of inches at the end of the 2,000 metres, a matter of centimetres separating them from first and second positions. So Estadad is the Australian Cup champion for 1999. Intergaze in second placing. Thackeray running a brave race third as Greg Childs and Peter Hayes pose for the photographers here at Flemington. We'll take a break and be back with the correct weight signal and the presentation after the running of the Amy Australian Cup. Could be a bit of drama going on here at Flemington after the running of the AAMI Australian Cup. The rider of Intergaze, Craig Carmody, is currently in the stewards' room having a look at the stewards' patrol video to see whether he wants to lodge an objection. You can see here that, as we said, there's only a matter of centimetres in it, so if Carmody feels as though there has been some sort of interference, then he might throw in a protest. We can take a look at the view from the Whitman's lightship, and that might give us some indication as to whether these horses came together. The answer is no, because Craig Carmody has had a look at the video. They're certainly pretty tight here, and Istedad did roll in just a little bit. That would have been the point at which Craig Carmody was having a look at it, but he's seen the video and he has decided, no, I don't want to throw in an objection. So Istedad is officially now the Australian Cup winner, and they've run 1:59.4, which is an amazing time, 1:59.4, and that should be rectified or ratified as a track record, I think, Alfie. What happened in the earlier race with Dignity Dancer is quite a funny story. Tell us what did.
Well, it's most unfortunate. We were talking, well, Roy Higgins was talking about the birds, and a bird has actually set off the electronic timing device.
So the time that went up originally for Dignity Dancer was something like 1:56. Now, it couldn't really run that being towed by a Formula One car, I don't think. But that's what's happened. So they've gone 1:59 hand time for Dignity Dancer. Now, I think this is electronic timing, 1:59.4. So we'll probably find that this is a track record recorded by Istedad. We knew they were going to run fast times today. The track is lightning fast.
That's exactly right. But it is disappointing. I would have liked to have seen Dignity Dancer actually break the record, 1:59, super quick.
The presentation's coming up very shortly after the running of the AAMI Australian Cup. With the weight signal, we can bring you the dividends, $5.60 and $2 for Istedad. Intergaze, $2.60. Thackeray, $3.80. The trifecta paying $455 even. Quinella on 4 and 1, 1 and 4 paid $21.10. And the race-to-race double on races 6 and 7, with the first leg being won by Zhivago, second leg by Istedad, has paid $26.50. They are the Super Tab dividends for $1 after the AAMI Australian Cup. Well, you can see there's plenty of activity in the mounting yard. So what we might do is we might have another look at the race and get Alf Matthews to talk us through it. As we said before the race, we knew that Jimmy Cassidy was going to come straight out of the stalls and go straight to the lead. That's exactly what he did. There he is, number 2, straight up on the steel. Now, what's Jimmy thinking at this stage?
Well, Jimmy would be very happy. You saw him just let stride out of the gates. He didn't kick. He didn't do anything to get him unbalanced or rev him up too much. Here, you see him travel very, very sweetly. Jimmy would be just thinking everything's worked into place here.
And this is where he started to let the horse roll along a bit. I had one thought that went through my mind at this time, Alfie, Vo Rogue. I thought, don't tell me he's going to get that far in front, but the most he got in front was probably about 8.
But Peter, at this point in time now, bearing in mind, they've just gone past the 1400 metre mark. Now, Jimmy would know that he's going too hard. After he'd gone his 200 metres, he's happy. But then the horse gradually gets into his stride, gets a little bit keener, and you really got to say he's not settling here.
Let's identify the eventual winner for you. In harness racing parlance, he is 1 out and 1 back, Istedad.
And it's ironic, Peter, too, 1 out on the fence, 1 back is the second horse.
Yes. So there's Bazille Bay up by about the 900 metres mark. Now the horse running second is the New Zealand horse, The Message. Linda Ballantyne had it up handy. On the inside of it is Dance, which has got the white sleeves. Now Istedad, here he comes, rolling to the outside. And look at Thackeray in the cerise colours, also easing to the outside, starting his run.
And also in the white cap, Peter, have a look at the horse. The second horse, Intergaze, he gets held up just after straightening.
This will be interesting. We'll watch the head on all the way down the straight. So let's identify the horses. Bazille Bay in the light blue cap tiring now. Look at Intergaze trying to force his way through between The Message and Bazille Bay. He rolls out. Istedad is holding his ground. Thackeray rolling in from the outside, but the rider stopping the riding action there, Darren Gauci, and pulling that horse back. But look at them, they get pretty tight towards the line. You'll see Istedad just come in a little bit here, but there was no contact, and that's what Craig Carmody was looking at, and Istedad has won by a very bare margin. It was, in fact, a short half head, the winning margin in the AAMI Australian Cup. So that's another look at it. It's time to present the connections of Istedad, the spoils. Here is our Master of Ceremonies, Rob Gaylard.
Thank you, Peter. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for our presentations, and what a wonderful weekend it has been here for Peter Hayes and his stable. To begin our presentations, Chairman, Mr. Andrew Ramsden.
Thank you. Mr. Minister, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, real horsepower returns to Flemington, and we welcome Amy as sponsors for this great race. We're delighted that the Minister for Sport, Mr Tom Reynolds, is with us today to introduce our very special sponsors. The Minister for Sport, Mr Tom Reynolds.
Thank you, Chairman. To you and the members of your committee, and particularly Mr Brian Keane, CEO of Amy, Mr Yoshihiro Hamaguchi, President of the Japan Racing Association, distinguished guests all. The first Australian Cup was run in 1863. This is the 139th running, but the 13th in this reinvented and revitalised version. The Autumn Carnival's Weight for Age Classic, in fact, the most important WA Weight for Age race in Australia in the autumn. And of course, it's the highlight of our Carnival of Champions. Congratulations to the VRC for assembling a very high quality field, the track in great order. We've already had the 2,000 metre record, although hand time broken twice. Speaks volumes for those that are doing the work on the track behind me. Even in just the past decade, the roll of honour for Australia Cup winners is a who's who of equine talent. Today, Istedad now joins, and listen to them, Octagonal, Saintly, Better Loosen Up, Let's Elope and Vo Rogue. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please join with me in firstly thanking AAMI, but secondly and more importantly, welcoming their Chief Executive Officer, Mr Brian Keane. Thank you.
Your Excellency, Minister Reynolds, Mr Chairman, members of your committee, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, at Amy, we're proud and honoured to be part of this wonderful Carnival of Champions, and indeed this tremendous week of festivities in Melbourne, and to play our part by sponsoring a race such as the Australian Cup, as I said, is a great honour. It's a race full of history and tradition. It's changed its distance, its style over years to keep pace with the times, and it's been won by many great champions in the past. And today it's been won by Istedad, and it's my very great pleasure on behalf of Amy to congratulate the winners, the Shadwell Australia Limited Syndicate, managed by Colin Hayes and trained by Peter Hayes and ridden by Greg Childs, and ask Peter Hayes to accept the Australian Cup. Thank you very much.
How sweet it is for Peter Hayes. As we said, there is a long line through the Hayes family that has enjoyed success. Of course, Colin Hayes is the managing owner of the syndicate here, and as a trainer he was successful in the Australian Cup, and it is great to see Peter Hayes tasting success. And I think CS is probably watching us today, so congratulations to you, CS, on another wonderful achievement. He hasn't been enjoying the best of health in recent years, but I'm sure that's made him feel a hell of a lot better with Istedad's victory here in the Amy Australian Cup. We've still got 2 races to go here at Flemington. Hopefully we might be able to find you the winner. There is the Australian Cup champion, Istedad. You're watching Amy Australian Cup Day live around Australia on Network 10. The big day in the Carnival of Champions, Amy Australian Cup Day at Flemington on a beautiful afternoon. It has been just picture perfect stuff, and not a bad day to be on the water either. And that water is the Maribyrnong River, which flows beside the Flemington Racecourse here, just a few kilometres from the hustle and bustle of the centre of Melbourne, and getting a beautiful view of the river, the city and the racecourse are the people in the Whitman's Lightship who provide us with those spectacular pictures. Really, when we first saw those racing pictures on 10 here at the Melbourne Cup Carnival a few years ago, it was another dimension to racing, and we're pleased that we can bring you those pictures on this, one of the most important days on the Australian turf calendar. All right, well, from the Serenity down beside the Maribyrnong River, I don't know whether she's over there or not, because we haven't actually seen her for a while. I suspect I might know the reason. Lynn Talbot, where are you?
Now, Peter Donegan, I have the best job of the day. Here I am standing amongst these gorgeous fellas. You know, you can just see them just clawing at me. Basically, they're not interested in me. There's a whole series of single women out there looking at them. Go girls. But look, toughest job of the day. Forget the photo finish. Our judges that have included Annette Allison and Rhonda Birchmore have had to come down to what? 4 of you, and this is the selected 4, the finalists. Your name is?
Chris Cunningham.
Chris Cunningham, and where are you from?
Macquarie Bank.
Macquarie Bank, and yourself, John?
John Lofton, and I've got a property development company.
Right, and Paul?
And Paul Tukas from Harold's Gentlemen's Outfitters.
And of course, the judges have had a terrible time, but they have selected Mark Webber as our winner. And you're off to, well, KL. Prize for 2 to KL flying Air Lauda.
I look forward to it.
And of course, Mark is our, well, what would you say, up-and-coming Formula One racing driver,
so.
we hope.
I'm trying.
You've gone through the F3 ranks, and currently, what are you up to?
Driving for sports cars for Mercedes-Benz. We've got a very big program with the Le Mans 24-hour race this year, so I'm looking forward to that. And hopefully trying to get some experience in Formula One this year in testing, and really looking forward to what's ahead for me.
Are you based in Europe these days?
Absolutely, yeah. It's not much for me to do now in Australia, but I've had tremendous support from the people in Australia, and it's very much the focus in Europe now.
It's been an exciting weekend. You obviously watched it yesterday. What did you think of the race?
I thought the race was good for the fans. You know, it was the McLarens could have drove away and won comfortably, but they had some problems, which was unfortunate. The Ferrari did a great job. I mean, Schumacher didn't start at the front of the grid like he should have, but that's how motor racing is. Eddie Irvine was a very popular win for Ferrari and for Ireland, and I was happy to see him get up, and the Jordan and Ralf Schumacher did a good job as well. So it was a good atmosphere.
Now, is it feasible that you might be lining up on that grid next year?
I think I'm ready for it. We've just got to get the political guns and the finances sorted out, and we should be in good shape to come there and try and get some points next year.
We're all helping you along, and congratulations on winning Bachelor on the field today. Aren't I a lucky girl being down here amongst these blokes?
Yes, you certainly are, Lynn. And I don't know whether we'll get too much out of Lynn for the remainder of the day, but it's a tough job. Someone has to do it. Lynn Talbot down there, amongst the talent in more ways than one, and one of the great talents in Australian motor racing in Mark Webber. Well, Australian Cup Day today, and I'm sure that the owners of Istedad and the owners of Dignity Dancer probably dreamt of winning a big race for a long, long time now. In fact, some of the dreams of being a champion here at Flemington or any of the major races, Randwick, Morfettville, Ascot or Doomben around Australia, those dreams sometimes start from the very first moment of life.
It begins here in the cool, crisp half-light of dawn. 1,000 miles from the thunder of the track or the theatre of the ring, racing's biggest gamble pays off. It's said no breeder has ever committed suicide while there's an untried yearling in the paddock. And the uplifting proof is provided through the mists as mares suckle their foals and wobbly legs grow strong. In the field of dreams, hope rises daily. This is Chatswood Stud, north of the Great Divide at Seymour in Victoria. But it could be any stud, any time. A love of horses is one thing, but one thing you can't be too fond of is sleep. That's because many foals are born at night or close to dawn.
I perceive there's less risk of predators. It's probably just something that's bred in them, I think.
Birthing in the equine world is, thankfully, usually relatively simple and easy. The foal emerges front feet first in a membranous sac from which she breaks free within minutes of birth. As soon as the foal is born, the ritual link between dam and progeny is made. The mare immediately recognizes the special smell of her offspring, and this is to enable her always to distinguish it from the rest of the paddock. Soon the foal will take her first tentative steps. She'll gradually become sure-footed. She won't be so camera shy. And it won't be long before she joins this jaunty gathering. Chatswood was founded at Avenel by Alan Willis 25 years ago. But 3 years ago, it moved to Seymour. Chatswood stands 5 stallions in 1998.
Ascalani, who was a champion French miler, he stands at $16,000. Brishnikov, who's a Group 1 winner by Ken Mayer. He's a half-brother to the current sire at the moment, Zabeel. We have Dan Zero, who was Dane Hill's first Golden Slipper winner. Geiger Cantor, who's the last season he was the 3rd leading Australasian sire, sire of Gold Guru. Races Edge, who's Roy's Chester's leading money earner. He's a Group 1 winner, and we've got high hopes for him.
Chatswood is fortunate to have Dr. John Hyland at the start.
White embryo looks like a blob there, but it's an embryo floating, and if you look carefully, you can actually see the heartbeat on this embryo.
At this stage, there's no knowing just how big the motor is. But if curiosity is a sign of intellect, then watch out for this extremely smart galloper.
Aren't they just beautiful creatures? And who knows, one of those tiny little animals might one day come to Flemington and win a major race. Or they might win a race like the Scalzo Food Industry Stakes, a race on Australian Cup Day, always sweet to win. It's over 1,400 metres, and we have one scratching, and that is number 13, Slavonic, and the rider for number 14, Go Davo Go, is Stephen Baster. If you're just joining us a little bit earlier on, Istedad won the AAMI Australian Cup, and Dignity Dancer did take out the $250,000 bonus by winning the Triple Crown when he took out the Cadbury Australian Guineas here at Flemington this afternoon. Well, as we said, it's a beautiful day, and there is the situation from the Whitman's Lightship. And time to see if we can find you the winner now of race 8 on the card. Paul Crawley has been out and about bright and early this week to help you do so.
The top weight in race 8 is the 6-year-old Golding Whistle Up, who has won 3 of his 4 starts here at Flemington.
I mean, Whistle Up's 1,400 metre record at Flemington's pretty well spot on. I think he's had 3 or 4 starts, and he's won a couple of races there, and he's run 5th. And he's the 1,400 is his best distance, and he's coming off a Mornington race, but that was a $60,000 stakes race, and it was only 1,200 around a tight track, so he's going to be right in it. Even though he's got a big weight, he's going to be hard to beat.
The Hayes stable has entered 5-year-old Golding Civil List, who will appreciate the rise in distance in his 3rd race back from Spell.
Civil List is a horse that's been battling around. We've had him for a couple of years, and he's a good average class sort of horse. This is probably about his class. If he gets a run of the race, he probably could win the race. The other horse we've only had for a couple of starts, Country Born, but he's a good class horse, and we'd expect him to run very well in it.
Despite being disappointing in his last 2 starts, Strident will have happy memories of this track.
Steel Phoenix and Strident last about 8 lengths off the lead. Rounding the turn, 500 to go, and it's Mr. Machiavelli in front from Raptor, ridden along there, 3 lengths to Inauguration. Then came Gullible, Zeregal, Dry Humour, Sari Club, Strident and Steel Phoenix. Raptor took over, 300 to go, kicked away from Mr. Machiavelli. 4 lengths away, Gullible, Zeregal, Inauguration, Strident making ground. The leader, Raptor, Zeregal picking it up, Strident running on well. Raptor tackled by Zeregal and Strident. Strident out wide quickly with Zeregal, hit the lead. Strident the outside in front of Raptor and Zeregal, and Strident coming away. Strident wins it by a length to Raptor, Zeregal 3rd.
In the placings in his last 2 starts is the Leon Corstens trained Go Davo Go.
Sandy Roy, Ciala Zampa tackled by Go Davo Go. In the straight, Ciala Zampa kicking on the inside, a neck in front of Go Davo Go. Ciala Zampa's finding plenty. Good win, Ciala Zampa, 3/4 Go Davo Go.
Hopefully that made you find the winner here of race 8. And if you need some more help, Alfie Matthews is taking a look at the runners in the Scalzo Food Industry Stakes. And we'll take a look at Whistle Up, number 1, another one of the John Hawkes runners, and he loves Flemington.
He loves Flemington, and he's ultra consistent, and that's why you've got to leave him in your multiple betting.
Oliver Twist is one I really like in the race. I think he's a very smart galloper. Damien Oliver, the rider here for Brian Mayfield Smith.
The only thing that probably just concerns